4, 3, 2, 1.
Whether you've been married 1 or 20 plus years, at some point you realize you married into crazy. And that's what our show is all about. If your marriage or relationship is compassionate, real, accountable, zealous and yielding, or just plain crazy, Snooks and Lovey offer love, laughter, and a dose of reality as they unpack this thing called marriage. Sit back, relax, and get your ear hustle on. It's time to start the conversation.
Welcome back to another episode of the Married Into Crazy podcast with Snooks and Lovey.
I am Snooks.
And I am Lovey. I feel like we should be like one of those news reporters. And tonight on tonight's news, and but here's the thing, folks. Welcome back to the podcast. We are a married couple, been married close to 28 years, and we talk about all things marriage, love, dating, relationships, and it's not just us. Mm-hmm. We bring in couples to actually do interviews, to talk about their journey, their love story, trials, tribulations, and what they've overcome and how they did it. We also bring on subject matter experts from time to time to talk about different things. There might be a book coming out or a therapy or something that they do that contributes to marriage. Mm-hmm. And so that's what we do on this podcast. We've been together for almost 28 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. As far as marriage is concerned.
Yeah, almost. Yeah.
And so we've been through some stuff. We've all close to divorce, been stabbed by an ex.
Okay, first stabbed and then close to divorce.
Yeah, true.
Put it in order.
Yes.
Chronological.
Get the sequence correct, right?
Exactly, please.
But yeah, so there's a lot of things that we've done. And in that process of finding our way back to each other after we almost got divorced, we wanted to create something that was lacking when we were looking for resources, when we were looking for assistance.
Yeah, we're basically filling in the gaps, There were some challenges, like Lovey said, there's you used to go to couples therapy, but that doesn't always work for everyone. And you want to be able to have some different avenues, different options. So we're just trying to find ways where we can fill in the gap and be of a service to those who might need some help.
Absolutely. And that's actually a lesson for everybody. If you can't find the thing that you're looking for, then maybe that's a hint from God that you're supposed to be
created
that thing.
Yeah, that's true. Mm-hmm.
To create that, to be able to move forward. And so that's what we did with originally this podcast. And then it grew into coaching. And then it grew into doing keynote speaking. And then it grew into a book. All these different things have taken place, and we've been able to help a variety of couples around the world now. And it's a blessing. It's something that we look forward to, and we do truly believe that it's a calling.
Can I say what it's grown into also?
What it is? Go ahead.
And it's grown into our first winter ball and marriage conference coming February 7th and 8th, 2025.
It's live, y'all.
We've been talking about it for a minute, and it is live. You can go click the link, go onto our website, click the link for winter ball. It gives you down to the second of how much time is left. So currently right now we're doing a special.
You can call it that. It's an early bird special.
Early bird special. Yeah. First 50 couples, you get a special price. So, Lovey likes to say, tell your mama, tell your cousin, tell you whoever your auntie, tell everybody, February 7th and 8th is the kickoff to Marriage Week, and we would love to see you guys there. We're going to have such a great time. We got our speakers and everything lined up. It's just going to be fun. So
everyone's under contract. We have the live band. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a phenomenal time. Mm-hmm. And how do you know that this is going to be the right place for you? Like, why would I go to this, right? You're probably asking yourself.
We just said it. No, I'm playing. Go ahead.
You're thinking, what's in it for me? What's in it for your marriage is that not only going to be able to come and have the most amazing date night with live music and a formal banquet at the winter ball, but it's going to set the tone for the next day. We've got 5 dynamic speakers, and that's not including our incredible MCs that are going to really bring a lot of different resources and knowledge that's going to elevate your marriage in a variety of different ways. We have people that are a credit expert, travels the nation, highly sought after. She is Miss Eva Palacios. She's going to actually be there talking about how to use credit to create the marriage that you want. We have the Colonel himself and his wife, Mr. Terrell Muhammad, is actually going to be there. He is the king of life operating procedures. He's been known to actually talk to and work with. He's one of Eric Thomas's coaches that has helped a multitude of individuals. He and his wife are coming to bless us with talking about creating a life operating principle for your specific marriage, for your specific needs, and developing a marriage mantra. Something that we live by, something that he taught us personally, and that we're now bringing him to actually share that knowledge with all of you. We have Cloyce and Sheila Dickerson. These two, this couple, they are the purveyors and the founders of Intentionally Yours. This is a group or a couple that has brought married couples from all over together to sit down in these different groups to really share and grow their marriage. And it's faith-based, and they really make sure that you're doing exactly what God's called you to do as it pertains to your relationship. And then, of course, we can't leave out the Swinigans, Pastor OJ and First Lady Delisa, and they are amazing. It's going to be at their facility at the Light Christian Church in Sacramento. But this is a couple that has lived a lot of life, and you would not know that they are as blessed as they truly are. This is an amazing couple. They breathe life into everyone, and it's not just coming from a, this is a pastor that's going to come in. No, this is a couple. They're real people that have lived some serious trials and tribulations throughout life that are coming to actually talk about, hey, this is how we got through our stuff. Don't think this is going to be it's not going to be a high holy roller coming in. It's of the church, but not in the church. It's funny. We are going to be in a church, and it's going to be a lot of fun. There is a pastor that's speaking, but this is about life. This is about people from all backgrounds, all shades, all nationalities, with one thing in common: marriage. And it's not just for those that are married
or marriage-minded people.
Absolutely. If you've got a great marriage, you're thinking, okay, how do I make it even better? This is going to be an event for you. It's a 2-day event. If you are saying, like, you know what, we're having some difficulties and we're trying to figure out how to make it through, this is the event for you. If you're a couple that are separated, you want to be together, but you just can't figure out how to come together, this is it for you. If you're engaged in a long-term committed relationship and you're like, we want to be married, we're on that path, but we just want to make sure we got everything lined up, this event is for you.
It's going to be a lot of fun. We got good food, good catering. We got games that we're going to play. I mean, it's just going to be great, and we're excited about it. So you come be excited with us.
So go to marriedintocrazy.com, and you'll be able to see the registration link under Winter Ball. And there's information there with some highlights on the speakers, and then it'll take you to the registration site. And I'll tell you what, it's the overwhelming response that we received so far is, that's all you're charging? Look, first 50 couples, like Snook said, are going to get the early bird pricing. After that, it goes back up to the regular price. So get it while you can as far as the lower price. And we look forward to actually seeing you and kicking off Marriage Week in February.
Okay, bye-bye.
But let's get to the topic at hand right now. We are recording this on Election Eve. It's actually a late podcast for us. But tomorrow, we're going to wake up to a new president of the United States. And this is not a political rant. We're not going to be talking about red versus blue, Democrat versus Republican. What we are going to be discussing is the stress that comes along with this time of year.
Yeah.
Not just the traditional, it's this, seasonal affective disorder that some people experience as daylight savings kicks in.
Like
it's getting darker.
I said like me. Yeah.
Well, she uses like retail therapy, and it seems to help her quite a bit.
I am not shopped in a long time. Maybe that's what's wrong. Thank you for reminding me that I haven't been. Okay, I got to start that again. Nah, just playing. So kind of like Lovey said, I feel like this season right now, not just because of the time change, but, elections are very stressful, and everyone's like, just, I feel like there's so much people are saying, and, you don't know if it's true, if it's not true. Anxiety is up. Oh my gosh, who's going to win? Because if this person wins, this thing is going to happen. Well, if that person wins, this is going to happen. So you have that all outside of your home. But what happens when you have it inside of your home? Not every couple is voting for the same candidate. And come on, let's just keep it real. Sometimes the biggest fights come from where you put something. where you put the toothpaste, where you put whatever. So now when you're talking about people voting for someone who is going to be able to make decisions for the next 4 years or whatever, that could seriously impact your life. Some say positive, some say negatively. It takes a toll on you. So when you have that in your home, how do you deal with it?
Right, it creates stress. And it's not just the national side, but even the local elections that take place.
School boards.
There are people that actually are voting for the same ticket, but then they argue, because I know people have done this, they argue about the issues. Well, why is that more important to you than this? They agree on the same individual, but they're taking difference with the different policies. And that creates tension.
I was about to say, elections can literally strain relationships.
So again, we're not here to talk about who to vote for, this, that, and the other. It's a moot point. But what we are talking about is, there's a saying out there, choose your hard, right? Like there are certain things in life that are going to be hard. Choose your hard. It's like, I don't want to, I want to lose weight. Okay, well, that's going to require you to go to the gym, work out, eat better, drink more water, get more sleep. I don't want to do all that. Okay, well, that sounds hard. Then you're choosing diabetes, you're choosing, hypertension, weighing a little bit more, being uncomfortable, clothes not fitting. That's hard too. And so people talk about choose your hard. Same thing comes with the stressors that are going to be affecting your marriage. Choose your hard, choose your stressor. Is the election, any election, whether it's a national election or if it's a local election happening every 2 years or what have you, is it worth it? Because think of all the other things that are stressing you out.
What do you mean by is it worth it? You mean, is the anxiety and the stress of the anticipation worth
exactly.
it? Okay.
Exactly.
Got you.
Is that if you're going to choose your heart, if you're going to choose your stress, is that a stress that you want to exert energy towards? If you can, and it is, there's certain things, and we're going to talk about certain countermeasures, things that you can do to help relieve that stress, mitigate it, lower that stress level, get those cortisol levels even lower. But there's some of it comes down to choice, because it's that time of year. People are getting ready for Christmas, and so people are looking at buying stuff. You've got holiday travels. You've got family coming in from out of town. You got football season. Trade deadline was today. People are stressed about things like that.
Okay, hold on. Let me just tell y'all, it's so super funny that he even brought that up, because we were talking about a couple weeks ago about this being election day. And Lovey was like, yeah, something November 5th. And I was like, I know that's election day. We have to make sure that we get our stuff done, blah, blah, blah. He was like, what are you talking about? I'm talking about the trade deadline. I was like, what? He's like, the Steelers would need to make a move, blah, blah, blah. So he went on this whole thing. And then earlier today, I was exercising, and he's like, it's done. And I was like, what do you mean it's done? They just got started. Like, we don't have any results yet. He's like, Steelers made a trade. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. So he chose his heart.
I did. I chose my heart. Like, that's what I wanted to focus on, rather than the things that, I cast my vote. I'm done. My job is done. I'm going to stress about the things that matter, like the Steelers getting a new wide receiver and another defensive tackle. But anyway.
But that's a good point that you just said. Your job is done. What happens after you've done your job? I think so many times we lament on, okay, I did my job, and now what comes next? And now. If you've done your job, we just have to sit back and not say that, oh, yeah, I mean, obviously we have to just take it. If whatever side you were on did not win, or even if they did win, but what do you do in the meantime? We have to start thinking about how it's affecting us. What can I do to release this so that it's not creating havoc or wreaking havoc in my home, for my kids, or my spouse?
On your health.
On your health.
So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some evidence-based strategies. These are things that have been proven that a lot of different therapists, coaches, clinicians will actually talk to you about if you were to go in. But you're going to get it free here on the podcast. No, but one of the things is meditation. Let me put it this way, not just meditation, but mindfulness and meditation. You can meditate on being mindful.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that you can actually do is just really think about whatever the subject matter may be. What was the election, trade deadline for football, stuff going on at the school, neighbors talking to you about, your ivy growing over into their backyard, or, your dog barking, whatever it may be, the neighbors playing too much music, whatever it may be. Look at the item and ask yourself, in the grand scheme of things in life, with everything going on, the things that are most important to me, where does this rank? And then honestly take inventory and be like, yeah, you know what? It's really not that important. And once you make that determination, be mindful and be like, I'm not going to let myself get stressed out about things that I have absolutely no control over. And if you do have some modicum of control, do whatever it is, exert that control, and then let it go of it. It's done. Like Snook said, once you've done your part, let it be gone. And then relax.
So the other part of, I feel like the follow-up to being mindful is just really facing the reality of, so what is the worst case scenario? And what if that worst case scenario happened? Then what? As far as like the election part goes, what is the worst case scenario if, my candidate did not win? Okay. We've all been in situations, or we've been through elections before where our candidate did not win. Will it be bad? How bad will it be? Will it take my house away? Or whatever it is, be realistic about what the expectation is. Because a lot of times we see on the news, I feel like, or the media, whatever we're watching, people, they say all this is a lot of it. Sometimes I think is rhetoric,
That's all it is.
and to scare you or to make you do what have you. And then when all the water calms down, everything, the dust settles, I'm still here. I'm still standing. I still have my partner. So how do I move forward now? Yes, I'm upset that this didn't happen, or, okay, so what can we do to protect whatever? I don't know, but in a mindful type of way, you think about the gratitude part of it.
I think that plays into the mindfulness, 'cause it doesn't take a lot.
I mean, that's what, yeah.
And I'm not saying you got to do this for, okay, for the next 35 minutes. We're going to be quiet. You're going to hear a bell chime. Ding. No, I'm talking about actually spending maybe a few seconds visualizing your day. Okay, so how does this really going to affect me? And then just pin a scenario, a realistic scenario, not doomsday scenario, not the worst thing that could possibly happen is, no, not the movie you're going to play in your head, but think about, okay, well, if this person gets elected, then things are going to transpire. They hope. Because we all know that every time somebody gets, at least in the national limelight, when somebody becomes new president, new regime, new administration, everyone has all these promises. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this. A third at best gets enacted upon, or at least they follow through. They try and push it through, and then it gets denied in some way, shape, or form. But they can still say, hey, I did my part. Mm-hmm. I did try and do X, Y, Z. And it didn't happen. So let's not stress over what may come, because all we're really truly given is this present moment.
Well, and also just kind of that mindfulness also builds resilience. Resilience will get you through. That's when you have to rely on how strong you are. We're a lot stronger than we really think that we are. So it focusing on your resilience, how strong you are, how you can get through it, it plays a good part.
Yeah, and that's a big part of it. But it's funny. It's talking about, because that mindfulness plays a part in your biology as well. You're built to actually respond to those things, whether it be positive or negative. Choose the positive. Mm-hmm. Another thing that you can do, talking about biology, is progressive muscle relaxation, because
Relaxation.
Yeah, it's funny. It's one of those things that we do with Isaiah as well. We actually taught him to, not just him, but he had a therapist that talked about this as well, that if you feel like you're getting stressed out, just clench as hard as you can and just let go, and then get like really loose with it. And you can do that with your neck. You can do that with your body, your chest, your hands, your whole body. You can clench and then let go, and then focus on clenching as hard as you can, then focus on relaxing as much as you possibly can as well. And that progressive muscle relaxation will help get rid of that tension.
Relaxation.
What? I keep saying relaxing?
I think it's
I could be
cute.
country when I want to be, you know what I'm saying? But it's one of those things where it's a biological function. You're able to like do that, get that tension out, and it also helps release some of the cortisol as well that's being built up. And then, but you got to be as intent upon the relaxation piece as you are on the tension part.
And then another component of that could be also, I said I was doing it earlier, exercising. Get some physical activity going, because what is it? Release endorphins or something like that?
It does, yeah.
Okay. I don't know all that.
Get that dopamine hit.
Yeah, there you go. I just
There's
know it makes me feel better.
dopamine. There's a lot of things that take place. Exercise is good for you. And when I say exercise, I'm not talking about you got to go in the gym and work out for 45 minutes. And it's got to be hard. And you got to lift heavy weights. That's cool if you can and if that's your thing. But just getting on the treadmill or walking around your block, at a regular pace, getting out, while the sun is still out, getting some vitamin D, smelling the air, listening to the trees rustle. Those are all forms of intentional relaxation, things that are built in around us. If it's raining outside or the weather's inclement in any way, you can get on a treadmill. Or you can just sit there and do high knees or something. You can ride a bike, whatever. But there's so many different things you can do, very low impact. Look, right now I went to physical therapy today. And for the last several weeks, actually since September 13th, it was Friday the 13th, where I blew up my right knee walking down the stairs. Funny how that happens. One day, what happened to you? I just woke up. I just got old. No. And I've been dealing with like my knee bothering me tremendously because of something that transpired in a house. And it's funny because I've been on low impact exercise since then. And it's been a lot of walking, riding the bike. Today at physical therapy, doing things. It's interesting. And I was breaking a sweat doing the things at physical therapy. And so you just never know. There's so many different things that you can actually do that will help release tension as well. As we're talking about elections, something to think about is just it's funny. I was talking to, or I made a comment on I'm going to call it a message board, but within a group of married couples about being a hot couple. HOT, being honest, open, and transparent.
Oh, I thought you were saying we were a hot couple.
Oh, we're definitely a hot couple. But that honesty piece and the openness, having open conversations. We talked about how you can be voting for people on the same ticket, but then you start to argue about why one issue is more impactful to you than the other. And you're like, well, that should be lower on your list, whatever. No, just rather than being accusatory, have an open conversation, a fair, honest conversation about not just what's important to you, but really get into the whys.
I was about to say why it's important to you and why you feel the way that you feel about it. But I also feel like in having that, being open and honest, and saying why, that could also make your communication stronger, your relationship stronger, because I'm sharing something with you that is important to me. I feel very strongly about it. I feel like you don't understand how strong I feel about it. Okay, well, help me understand that. And once you do understand that, not saying you're going to change your mind about it, but you're like, wow, okay, my feelings feel validated because you're like, I understand why you feel that way.
No, and it opens up doors to other conversations, outside of elections, outside of this time of year. It gives you the opportunity to make sure that you have this open communication when it comes to sex, this open communication when it comes to parenting, this open communication when it comes to
paying your bills,
whatever, right? There's so many different things, but it's in these stressful times where you can learn to have active listening, strong listening skills to where now your spouse really trusts that they will be heard. If we keep talking at each other, it's going to do nothing but elevate that stress even higher.
Yeah. And the other part of that too, though, is knowing that after you talked about it, after you, whatever, we are together. So whatever affects you affects me. Whatever affects me affects you. We're getting through it together. Doesn't matter if I'm voting for the other person or from who you're voting for. We remember at the end of the day that we're a couple, we're together, and we're going to get through it together. You're not going to be, haha, my candidate won and sucks for you. And so I'm going to go on about my life or what have you. No, I'm sorry that, you felt so strongly about blah, blah, blah. How can I support you in this?
Well, and even if you're having those discussions leading up to that, we said active listening, but also reflective listening, meaning that, and reflective listening is once the other person shares what they're talking about, make sure you hear them and seek understanding. I always go back to Stephen Covey's, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And my favorite one in the entire, they're all good, but that first seek to understand before being understood. I think goes a long way in our relationships. And I think that goes a long way when we're having these discussions about elections and politics and so forth as well. Seek to understand your spouse's point of view. So what you're telling me is, what I'm hearing is, this is important to you because of whatever that may be. Is that right? Okay, well, help me understand that. Why is that? There's nothing, the greatest question in the world is the one that we hate when our kids start talking. Why? 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 But it helps out marriage so much because it helps you get to the root of, the essence of why some of us are making our decisions or why it's so important to us.
Right. That's true.
I think that's extremely important. I know that we also talk about the check-ins. I don't know that it's applicable, but just checking in like, hey, I'm just curious. Do you still feel the same way? Especially if there's new information. If there's new things that pop up like, oh, I heard XYZ and I did some research and now I think I'm more open to your point of view. And checking in, like, because my daughter and I do that all the time. I won't say all the time, but we do it.
More
We've
than
done
you
it.
have.
Oh, definitely more than we have in the past. Because she's raised my awareness on certain subjects. I'm like, oh, let me go research that. And she's learned that before I go to him and say anything, let me get my ducks in a row.
Right. And she's also learned that she can trust you with the information that she shares, even if it's not to you. Maybe you don't think that that's credible or what have you. You're not shooting her down like, that's stupid. And I think that's important that we have that in relationships. I have to feel safe. We have to have safe spaces in our home to where we can be hot. If it's the space is not safe, that means I can't trust to share with you and be vulnerable, and we will never be hot.
Honest, open, and transparent.
Oh,
because we'll always be hot. No, and that's good. And I think that in doing that helps us get in the situations where we're more open to reframing our thoughts, reframing our point of view. And this is not about learning how to change the other person's mind, not in any way, shape, or form. This is more about taking the opportunity. Like the very first letter in Crazy for us is being compassionate, right? Having compassion. Compassion, when you boil it down to its absolute essence, it's about trying to see things through the other person's lens. And so there are times where we'll have conversations like, well, this is stupid. This is asinine. Why are they doing this? And don't they know that if this person does this, that, and the other, then that's what's going to happen. And it's going to be horrible for the world. And it's like, well, let's try and see it from their perspective. Why do you think somebody would have that perspective? What have they gone through? What's their world view, their vantage, as far as what their experiences may have actually pointed out to them? Do you think that if they had your background and your upbringing and what you've been exposed to, that they would think the same thing? Well, no. Okay, well, now try and look at it from their lens. It doesn't mean that you're going to change your mind and like, oh, you're going to have to compromise and be like, oh, well, then I have to meet him halfway, which is not a bad thing. But it might give you a little bit more understanding as to why they view things the way that they do. More times than not, you're going to find that a lot of what happens, especially if it's like super extremes, if you're on one extreme and they're on the other extreme, a lot of times the reason why people can't meet is because there's some form of fear that is stopping them from finding a way, building a path to each other.
That's true.
And it's a lot of fear that the media, whether you believe in one channel over another, the media does have its spin.
Yep. I agree.
But we talked about physical activity as far as something that you can actually do. Some of these conversations can take part. You can stack this, or, what we call habit stacking. You can do some of these things together. There's nothing wrong with having these conversations we're talking about and practicing your active, reflective listening while you're going for a walk around the block.
Yeah, that's true. The habit stacking, which is something that I don't do. But it is important because people sometimes feel like they have to choose one or the other. No, this is a plethora of information and options for you to choose, and whatever it is that you choose, if it's something that's going to help ease your anxiety and at the same time keep you close to your partner, and your partner is being able to, I won't say being able to, but is there for you, that's what you should do. Because we can't tell you, oh, do this first, and then if that doesn't work, then do that. And no, it's whatever mix that you all have.
That's true. It's funny you talk about that mix that you all have. There is no couple that is identical as far as viewpoints. We definitely don't agree on a lot of things. I don't say a lot of things, but we don't agree on some things.
No, we don't agree. Yeah, there are things that we don't agree on.
We have different perspectives. We're not meant to be the exact same. We're not supposed to be carbon copies of each other. We need to have an attitude of gratitude, not just for the attractiveness and the things that we're drawn to, but also have an attitude of gratitude for our differences. And those differences, are what makes us unique. If we were supposed to be the same, if you're going to sit there and be like, oh, we're identical, then one of you really isn't needed.
Then one of you are not needed. And in that is the difference in opinions and whatever the perspectives. Those are learning opportunities. I could learn something from him. He could learn something from me. So,
and that's absolute truth. You can learn something from me. And I just, it's recorded. It's out there in
I said
the
I
enters
could.
of the web.
I could, but I don't learn anything from you.
No, but it's very true. And I think that attitude of gratitude, recognizing that there's, I always come back to this quote that's attributed to Mark Twain, that every person I meet is my master in some way. And of that, I learn. And I think that every person we meet, particularly, we're talking about spouses, we're talking about relationships. My wife has an entire base of knowledge that is separate from my own.
I do. And Lovey does too.
Yeah. I was gonna say, you better
he
throw
was
something
like,
in there.
I know you're scared. You just looked at me like, what? No, but that is true. And what we tend to do is obviously we combine the two. It's like a swirl of ice cream. He has his flavor. I have
You
mine.
got your chocolate and my peanut butter.
And it's a swirl. So we're like, oh, we can coexist. We can commingle. Even though I feel a way, you feel a way. That doesn't mean that it's a make or break type of situation where we have to be, now I'm mad for the rest of the day. He ain't talking to me. We in separate rooms or whatever,
Look, there's a place for being homogenous, right? Homogenous being singular, like vanilla is homogenous. Chocolate is homogenous. Peanut butter is homogenous. It's by itself. But when you start to actually combine a few things, chocolate, peanut butter, the swirl that you're talking about, you'll discover that things that you would have never thought went together are absolutely amazing. Like sour candy and nerds. You take some nerds and you put it on like these little gummy things, and they're absolutely amazing and addictive.
Oh, Lord. The clusters?
The clusters. Oh, my goodness. I would have never put those together. But I think a lot of things in life, you're like, I never saw that coming. Great example. Every year at the Grammy Awards, they put together these artists that you're like, I would have never put that together, those two together. And it turns out to be absolutely amazing. So I think that we can do the exact same thing within our relationships when it comes to our politics to release some of that stress. If we sit down and practice some of these evidence-based methods that we talked about and reducing the stress and knowing that guess what? In another 4 years, there's going to be another election.
We're going to be stressed out again.
But what's going to be constant? Two things are going to be constant, hopefully. Well, one thing for sure, and the other thing, God willing. The one thing for sure is God's going to still be on the throne.
That's right.
God remains. And so that's always going to be constant. But the other thing that we hope is constant every 4 years is that you're waking up next to the same beautiful or handsome spouse that you said I do to. Mm-hmm. So as these politicians come and go, your spouse is going to remain. God willing.
Yeah, I was about to say God willing, like you said.
And that's where we need to find that commonality on how do we make sure we get through this, because that other stuff comes and goes. So hopefully one of these methods works out for you, and let us know how it works out. Let us know if it was, if you guys didn't choke each other out, when it's all said and done, after the numbers are tallied and whoever's going to be in the White House is going to be in the White House.
Just be there for each other. And, not saying that the anxiety is going to go away or it's all going to be peaches and cream, but you have a partner, hopefully a life partner, that for better or for worse, that's part of the vows too, for better or for worse. And it didn't just mean, I feel like sometimes we think about our vows and it means like, like in sickness and in health, just our sickness or our health. No, it extends to other people, our parents' sickness, our parents' health, for better or for worse, whatever's going on in the community or in the world, he's here with me. He got my back. So we're together. So
regardless of who she voted for. No, I'm just playing. But it's one of those things where, be there for each other. And if you can, be there with each other at the 2025 Married into Crazy Winter Ball and Marriage Conference in Sacramento.
February 7th.
February 7th and 8th, 2-day event. Taco truck extravaganza the next day. We're going to have taco trucks. We're going to have amazing food. We're going to have a great time. And if you're coming from out of town, like we know some couples are, we know a couple that's coming all the way from Maryland, flying all the way out for the conference. And there's a hotel block that's actually set up as well. You'll be able to find that on the registration site. So take a look, book or register, get your tickets. So that way you get part of the first 50 couples that are able to participate. We just opened this up 2 days ago. So you have plenty of time, but don't wait, because the early bird pricing will make a difference for you.
Yep.
And tell a friend. Like she said, tell your mama, tell your auntie, tell your cousin.
Tell your mama, tell your auntie, tell your cousins.
All right, y'all. Well, hey, de-stress. And until the next time,
be blessed.
Be blessed.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Married into Crazy podcast with Snooks and Lovey. Please like, subscribe to, and review the show wherever you access it, and tell a friend about us. Visit marriedintocrazy.com and see how Snooks and Lovey can bless your marriage directly.